It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Today's beer is brought to you by our channel sponsors, beersofeurope.co.uk. Check out the link in the description box for beersofeurope.co.uk for the finest selection of world beer available in the UK. Fantastic company. ABK Weissbier, 5.3% ABV in a 500ml bottle. I've had some of the ABK beers back in 2021, kind of middle of the year. 2022 now, they've brought out a Weissbier. They've been brewing for, or the name is 700 years old, the name of the brewery. I don't think they've been brewing continuously for 700 years. I think it's been a bit of a kind of release, a rebrand or a re-release of an old brand. Somebody's dug through the history books and come across this old brewery and thought, you know what, they need coming back. They deserve to come back into the world of beer. I'll have a little read at the back of the label about the 700 years of Bavarian brewing tradition and heritage in a bit. But first and foremost, it's all about the beer in the glass, isn't it? Let's get it out into a glass and see what we get. Now, there's a bit of smoke on the bottle opening. I thought it was gonna kind of overspill on me, but look at that, that's perfect, isn't it? It's a perfect opening. So with a Weissbier, it's very important you pour out, I would say, 3/4 of the bottle. Give the bottle a spin, get all that lovely bready yeastiness mixed up. Have a look at the clarity of the beer. It's quite clear at the moment with good carbonation, with a 2 to 3 finger white head. Watch how now we pour this in and it settles everything down and the beer becomes hazy. So you will immediately see that the carbonation, although still quite rigorous, it's not as rigorous as it once was. Nice and hazy looking beer. You can see the carbonation there at the bottom of the glass. That's exactly how I wanted this Weissbier to pour. I think we had a Helles lager and I think we had a Pilsner. It was a red label and a blue label beer we had from ABK back in 2021. So comment in the comments box, what beers did I try? Red or blue label beers? But we're on to the slightly kind of yellow browny coloured label here with a Weissbier. So let's concentrate on this. Let's get the aroma. It smells really interesting. A slight bit of smokiness coming through. A little bit of banana, little bit of clove, like spices, banana and spices. But more, I would definitely say more of a smoky Weissbier. Interesting. On a personal note, on a personal level, I would much prefer a big estery kind of banana-y aroma coming through, but the truth is always in the tasting. Let's get into this one. It's tasty. You definitely get more of the banana in the taste. You pick up a bit of that smokiness, that pepperiness, that spiciness. You pick up the spices are like, yeah, like cloves and corianders and that kind of sort of thing. I'm going to call it a refreshing Weissbier. A really, really, really refreshing Weissbier. If you pushed me even more on the word refreshing, I would probably call it a little bit thin. It's a little bit thin, it's a little bit watery. My Weissbier journey started back in 2011 when I tried a beer from St Austell's Brewery called Cloudy Yellow. I think it was called Cloudy Yellow anyway, and I absolutely hated it. Absolutely hated that beer. I'd like to try another bottle now because I probably really enjoy it. But Cloudy Yellow was my first ever Weissbier, and I didn't really understand what I was tasting back then. It was for me, I was like, oh, why am I tasting all this kind of clove and spices and banana? And I was like, oh, no, I'm really struggling with this. But then I carried on through, and what a coincidence this is, through our channel sponsor, beersofeurope.co.uk. They carried on sending me Weissbiers. So I tried Weissbier, and the more I tried it, the more I enjoyed it, the more I learned to love it. And to the point now where it's probably right up there with in my top 2 styles of beer. If I was to go and buy a few bottles of beer, I'm looking through the window at my bar. I got some Weizenstefan Weissbier. I've got some of the tap Schneider Weiss. I can see it now, the original tap Weissbier. I buy them in Sainsbury's. And I also buy a lot of this company's Weissbiers, the Polanders. I buy the Polanders in Marks and Spencer's. So on my down days, when I'm not working, when I'm not reviewing beer, I'm generally drinking Weissbier. So what am I saying? I'm saying because I drink a lot of it, I can really pick up just how quite thin this is. It's quite disappointing how thin this ABK Weissbier is. I mean, it might be their first kind of attempt back at brewing a Weissbier, so future batches they might get a bit more body in there, but it's definitely lacking in the body. Unless, of course, you might really like a thin, refreshing Weissbier. I would prefer like the Paulaner, where it's got a little bit more body. It's got a little bit more of that kind of banana and clove coming through on the aroma. But then again, Paulaner have been brewing continuously for 300, 400, 500, 600 years probably, and they've had all that time to be able to refine their style. So maybe the word is here, the conversation here is to give this company a bit of time. ABK, give them a bit of time. Maybe they can kind of refine their bottle of Weissbier so they can get it up to the standards of the Weizenstefan, the Paulaners out there, the Schneider Weisses out there that produce world class Weissbier. I mean, it's not a sink pour by any means, by any stretch of the imagination. This is more... It's more your Lidl and Aldi quality Weissbier. If you were going to... I go on holiday quite a lot to Tenby in West Wales. And we go down to Pembroke Dock, Lidl and Aldi. And I'll rob their shelves of all of the Weissbier, fill my boot with the damn stuff, and I'll take it back to my caravan, and I'll sit outside the caravan on a chair, and I'll drink Weissbier for a week. That about makes my holiday, you know, that type of thing. Of course, day trips and everything else. But I mean the afternoons where you're striking up the barbecue and you're generally enjoying yourself in the evening. I've generally cleared the shelves of Lidl and Aldi's Weissbier down that way. They must wonder what's going on. They're like, well, we need to order a lot more of this Weissbier. There's a bloke down here buying it all. But this is more like a Lidl or Aldi, like 99 pence a pound kind of Weissbier. Maybe that's what they want. Maybe it's brewed for a price, and maybe they, you know, it's entry level Weissbier, and that's what they want. A top fermented, fruity, aromatic, and lively, full-bodied beer. Water, barley malt, wheat malt, hops, and yeast. So the story of the brewery. There's no real story as such on the back of the bottle. I thought they would explain it a bit more. The way they emphasise that 700 years on the top of the bottle, they're almost trying to give off a sense that they've been brewing for 700 years. The brand might be 700 years old, but I don't think this brewery's been continuously brewing for 700 years. It seems very unlikely. Rating. It looks okay. It looks pretty good for a Weissbier, actually. Better than okay. It's slightly fatty. Now I'm really able to wash it round in the glass. It's got a slight fattiness to it. And it's a bit thin. I'm going to say 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. An average Weissbier. Average. It's not kind of like top quality Weissbier. But that's okay. If it's budget Weissbier, if it's cheap, then fair play. Buy some bottles and enjoy it. I mean, if you're not to that kind of level of really understanding the Pauliners out there and the Schneider Weisses and the Whiteheads, the fan of Weissbiers, if you're kind of learning your trade with Weissbier, if you're learning to enjoy a Weissbier, then this is a brilliant start. This is a brilliant start. Please put your comments in the comments box, subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews, give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom! Cheers.